What is happening?
What's up? What's up? Welcome to Podium Proof F1 Summer Recap live stream.
Summer break, silly season.
Silly season it has been.
Yeah, it is.
And nobody really saw it coming.
Nope.
We were all thinking it was going to be a pretty boring summer break in terms of driver movement. You know, you might have a couple of the back end teams make a switch or two. Everything wasn't really confirmed, but you know, here we are.
Hey, and Vettel said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right. So
Vettel
before we get into this,
just decided to run and kick the first domino instead of lightly push it.
Yeah, right. If you haven't already, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Well, hell, you're on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all social media. And feel free to hit us up. Also,
if you're listening on the podcast, come find us on YouTube.
Yeah. At the bottom of the video, there's a QR code that will bring you to our link tree. You can find our website, which will link you to all the podcast places that we're on, all major podcast platforms, as well as get links to our social media accounts. So scan that, find us, follow us, drop us a line.
Yeah, man. So, Twan, to answer your question, I haven't seen any new driver news as of a couple hours ago. I haven't seen anything official. Well, we'll get into all that, but it's nothing new from all of the, I guess, already crazy things that we've seen happening with Alpine and McLaren and all that. So before we dive into this, because we got a ton to get to when it comes to all this driver stuff, let's hit real quick, dude, on what we're sipping tonight.
I guess you missed out on content. Oh, that was sarcasm.
Context is hard over text.
Yeah, right.
So I'm gonna be drinking tonight a Jack Daniel's single barrel rye, which is a barrel select by the Bourbon Society of Baton Rouge, which everything they do is killer. Let's see, 47%, 94 proof. Some of these, I know we've talked about the Jack Daniel's single barrels a little bit on here. I don't believe I've touched a rye yet, but it's if you have a chance to get one, they are fantastic. It's a totally different take on a rye, in my opinion. It's more of a bold, kind of savory style of a rye compared to a lot of the ryes that are kind of spicy and in your face.
Yeah, and I've had the single barrel rye, not a store pick. And yeah, dude, I love it. If you can get your hands on the ever elusive now barrel proof rye, even better. Man, that one, that still really hurts because for quite a while I saw them everywhere, and I was like, I'll get one next time I come through. I'm already got enough in my hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've never picked one up, and then they were just gone.
Well, the best part about them is they're incredible for $45.
Mm-hmm.
Last time I bought one anyway, I got a pile of them, so I hadn't been buying lately. Just because I kind of had a run around my area of barrel picks. So I didn't. I kind of just stockpiled them for a while. But at one point, I want to say they were $45.
Yeah, I think,
good luck beating that.
Yeah. I think the bourbon's usually the same price. I've always got one of the JD single barrel bourbons on my bar. I drink that one a lot.
So I decided to pull out. This is one of my favorite bottles that I own, and I decided to break it out tonight because got word today that we're going to be going to Coda this year. Yeah. So figure we'd celebrate a little bit.
Hell yeah. Celebrate we will with a fresh bottle crack.
Hell yeah. Shout out to Ryan Berry for hooking that up.
Ooh, that one wasn't bad.
Is that synthetic cork?
It is not. That is a real cork.
Okay.
That was a good pop for a real cork. So I did talk about this one last week, but we'll recap in case you weren't there. So this is a barrel bourbon, single barrel, store pick. And this comes from our favorite, Hocus Pocus Liquors. They're in Prairieville. So this is a Ghost. It is barrel proof, 120.94 proof, 6 years, bottle number 26.
Nice.
So this is the first barrel bourbon that I've had.
Oh, you haven't had it at all?
I have not had it at all. I've not had any of their bottles. I've looked at a bunch of them and could never convince myself to pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So not a bad way to start with a store pick, especially a Hocus Pocus store pick. We'll let this open up a little bit, and I'll dive into it.
Yeah, so if anybody else out there sipping on anything, let us know what you're on. Always down to talk a little bourbon, but we'll go ahead and get right into this, or wine, or, whatever. Water, Coke, whatever's your thing.
Yeah. Talk about all of it.
So, I guess we have no other place to start than Alpine.
Yeah. That seems only fitting.
Since I'm trying to remember when we went live last week, it was just that, I can't remember. Was it did Piastri come back with his retort yet? Or was that I believe that was Tuesday.
I think
all we had was
all we
Alonso.
had was Alonso going to Aston Martin.
That's right. Because we were questioning why they haven't announced Piastri yet.
Correct.
And they did that. They went and announced Piastri, like we all kind of suspected they would. It was kind of strange to me that it took so long from Alonso's announcement, even though from what we understand, they found out about Alonso's decision via Aston Martin's press release.
Yep.
I've heard that a couple places. I'm not entirely sure how true that is, but
that seems
with the way they handled
consensus.
Yeah, and with the way they handled everything, it seems to be kind of true.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has been a dumpster fire since that announcement.
Yeah.
Really since Vettel's announcement.
Really, yeah. Vettel's announcement is what kind of kickstarted all of this.
So the timeline goes, Vettel retires. Monday morning after the race, Alonso announces he's taking that seat at Aston Martin for some reasons he hasn't disclosed, but we'll speculate and get into here in a little bit. Then the next day, on Tuesday, Alpine comes out and confirms that Oscar Piastri will be driving for them next season. Now, that was about as everybody expected. And I mean, it was a done deal. Everybody kind of thought that would happen.
Yep.
Until Piastri comes out with a tweet saying that this is not true. They did that without his approval. There is no contract signed, and he will not be driving for Alpine in 23. The funny thing about that,
it's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Bro, right? The funny thing about that is Piastri didn't leave it at, listen, this isn't true. I don't have a contract signed yet. He continued and said, I will not be driving for Alpine in 23.
Yep.
I feel like that was a very Mark Webber comment. A very bold and decisive comment.
Man, it's
because
so for a not even an F1 rookie, right? I mean, you can't even call him a rookie yet. To come out with such a bold statement, one of two things, or maybe not one of two. Maybe it's got to be two. But one, there is something happening within Alpine that pushed Alonso out so abruptly, and that Piastri sees or is aware of and is like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing that. Secondly, for him to blatantly turn down an F1 drive means that something else has got to be in the works. Like something has to be on the verge of being signed, a contract of some sort with somebody. And yeah, we've got plenty of speculation on that now, but like, man, it's astounding for somebody that has not even secured their first F1 drive to come out and say that.
For the fourth best team on the grid right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So to continue that, after that news comes out, you kind of go a couple days with nothing really coming out. And then some stuff gets leaked. Everybody's speculating that it's McLaren because, I mean, in our opinion, you're not going to kick Alpine to the curb for Williams, right?
Right.
Like Williams was going to be the 1 year hold me over, get me in F1 until Alonso retires. Because they thought they were just Alonso was a shoe-in for their team for next year. But they kept offering him a 1+1 deal, which is essentially it's a 1 year contract with a team option for the second, which means a 1 year deal.
Yeah. And that is
Alonso wanted nothing to do with that.
That he wanted more.
He wanted a firm 2 years. So that, man, it's so there's so many moving pieces here, and there's a ton of speculation as to why. But the fact of the matter is, Alpine's got some serious problems, and I think Piastri would have been fine with a 1 year sit at Williams. But I feel like at some point when that line was crossed in his contract about them not having a drive committed to him by July 31st, he played his cards with other teams and was essentially free to sign where he wanted for however long he wanted with no slingshot clause back to Alpine.
Yep. And he clearly had that in the works, seeing the writing on the wall that they kept dragging their feet with this whole Alonso thing.
maybe they didn't. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Maybe it was one of those things like they kind of thought for sure it would get done, and then all of a sudden Alonso leaves, and all this turmoil is happening quick and in a hurry. And maybe instantly McLaren reaches out and is like, dude, you can have a multi-year deal, but you'll be our driver. Right. I mean, you never know how these things work. I know Zach Brown's pretty savvy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's super interesting. For me, I wish we could fast forward like maybe, I don't know when it would come out. Maybe this off season, I feel like, is when the full story will finally come out, and we'll really find out what happened, because I don't see the only explanation, in my opinion, is Alpine just absolutely botched this situation 9 ways to Sunday.
Yeah, I mean that's the only thing that at this point kind of makes sense. Or I don't know, man. Is it possible that it was not really that they did anything wrong other than just not give Alonso what he wanted, obviously? But, was it just that they were in the middle of negotiating with him back and forth, and then when Seb retires, Alonso was instantly just kind of like, nope, I'm done. I'm out. And it really is just then they went into panic mode and, just assumed that Piastri was still there for him. I mean, is it really just that simple, or is there something going on inside that team?
Well, either way, the fact is, if you have your driver that you've been grooming that is going to be your next guy, and there's a clause in his contract with you that says after this date, if he doesn't have a deal signed, he can do whatever he wants. He's essentially a free agent. If you have him in that position and you don't have him signed to a team by July 31st, you are being negligent. You are stupid.
Mm-hmm.
To even allow that possibility to walk. Okay, like we know that if you're Alpine on July 30th, like, okay, things aren't really going the way as quick as we thought they would with Fernando. We're going to get, we had this deal with Oscar for Williams. We're gonna get that inked. And there's gonna be a clause, or with McLaren, whatever it is, we're gonna get it inked. And there's gonna be a clause in there that says if Fernando decides to leave and doesn't re-sign, he's straight back to us and y'all are SOL.
Yeah.
And that's the way you do it. And maybe McLaren doesn't go for that, but Williams sure as hell will.
Mm-hmm.
Williams would absolutely go for that.
Oh, they would for sure.
And they wouldn't think twice about it.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I'd just like to go ahead and apologize. It appears that I am having some sort of internet speed issues at the moment, so my picture is a little blurry and a little spotty and choppy, maybe the audio as well. So I apologize for that. See what I can do in the meantime to get it resolved, but hopefully it just kind of clears itself up. All right. Back to the action. Yeah, dude, I think Williams would have been, like you said, they would have been more than happy to do that, unless, and I don't know, maybe they wouldn't have. It's yeah, Corey. All right. You got your shot in. I'm not going to live in the city, so it's fine every other time. So with Williams, there is talks and kind of has been about Nick DeVries replacing Latifi. I haven't heard anything recently about it. I think that's just kind of always been, part of the speculation. I mean, I know they had him in the car for FP1 at, I forget which race weekend it was. So that speculation has always been there. Latifi has obviously underperformed this year compared to his teammate. The amount of money that he brings, is that underperforming enough to offset the money that he brings in?
I'm going to say no. You can get somebody else in there to do a better job that still brings money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not good. Despite him topping the time charts in FP3 in Hungary in the rain.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there was that.
Right. The highlight of the career.
Yeah, right. Hey, by the way, this barrel bourbon is amazing.
Yeah, it's really good.
Like, I'm really curious to see how it opens up now that the bottle's been cracked. But man, this is good.
I hadn't been back into mine, but so.
Oh, you got a good point there.
That is very true. That is very true. Maybe he'll get his own line whenever his own line of barriers whenever he retires from F1.
Yeah, right.
Maybe a donut shop named after him. Latifi Donuts.
It's a couple of them.
So,
hey, but look, so does Max. I mean,
Maxes are celebratory, even if they're in the middle of a race.
Yeah, right. And Max seems to always make it like this beautiful pirouette and just keep on rolling.
Yeah. So, continuing with that timeline of last week, a couple days go by, and there is word breaking that there was the FIA Board of Contracts ruled in favor of McLaren over Alpine in the Piastri contract battle, because apparently that was, that's where it went after his tweet and his statement, because he had already apparently signed a contract with McLaren. So then it goes to the Board of Contracts when there's a dispute. It's surprisingly common in F1. Just most of them, I guess, typically don't happen this quick or in this sort of fashion.
The weird thing is, though, is that happened. It went to, the board of contracts or whatever exactly it's called. So if there's a contract to be fought over, why hasn't anything been released?
I don't know that.
Because I mean,
all we've heard. So then, hold on. So then the next step is it comes out that McLaren has informed Ricciardo that they are potentially replacing him next year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's where it stops.
Yep.
We haven't heard that Ricciardo's out. We haven't heard that Piastri's in anywhere officially. Now, obviously, it looks like Ricciardo's going to be out at McLaren. Piastri's going to be in. And if I'm McLaren, I am pretty freaking happy right now, because if Piastri works out and lives up to even some of the hype, they might have their driver pairing for, I think it's safe to say at this point, easily the next 5 years. But
Yeah, I think so.
if him and Lando continue at their trajectory, I would be willing to bet it's even further. Granted, there's no Senna Prost McLaren issues.
Yeah, I mean, assuming we don't see, Senna Prost, Nico Lewis, Vettel Weber, assuming nothing like that comes of it, I agree. I think that could be a fantastic pairing. Yeah. That could be a fantastic pairing for McLaren for foreseeable future. Absolutely.
I like it, man.
And
I like the fact
should that be the case, Otmar has also said that they would not be opposed to talking to Daniel about coming back to Alpine. I mean, he didn't leave Alpine; he was with Renault, but Renault, Alpine, Renault, same thing. He said not opposed to that. So, we know that Daniel wants to say, he has said that he wants to continue in F1. With that being said, could we see him return back there? I think there's a good possibility.
I think there's a good shot of it just because.
Who else are they going to get?
Where else? Well, not only that, but if you're Ricciardo, where else are you going to go that's not at the dead ass back of the grid?
Right.
I mean, essentially open seats right now. You have Haas, Williams, Alfa Romeo, and AlphaTauri.
Yep.
So,
and technically, Aston Martin.
No.
Technically, by contract.
Okay.
Stroll has a contract
give you that.
through 22. Yes, we all know that his contract is basically for eternity.
I don't think he's losing sleep at night over his contract not being done for next year.
No, I highly doubt it.
So, I mean, Alpine would be the logical landing spot for him. And if you're Alpine, obviously you would take him back with open arms because, one, he's proven. Now, even though it's been rough going for him, he still is a better option than pretty much anybody else who's available or up and coming in F2. The F2 crop isn't like I don't want to say they're not strong, but there's nobody that just jumps off the page at you. Like nobody's just standing out like we've seen in some of these previous years.
It's a little bit lacking compared to previous years. Yeah. Previous years, you always kind of knew, like, this guy is getting an F1 seat. This guy stands out above the rest. And, yeah, we really don't quite have that this year. So, yeah, I mean, for Danny Rick and for Alpine, I think them two reuniting is the smart decision for both of them. Unless we know Danny Rick likes the States. Haas is based out of the States. Maybe there's a possibility there. Man, I doubt it.
I just don't.
I doubt it. I'm just kind of spitballing here. But
I think Gunther would 100% be down for that. They signed K-Mag through, what was it, 23?
K-Mag through
24? Okay.
23.
23. This year and next year.
Yep.
So I don't see him ready to move on from Mick yet.
No, I don't think they are. I really don't. I'm just saying that nothing has been renewed for him for next year.
Ooh. Twan, Gunther to Ferrari. Very interesting. Because I'll tell you right now, we're going to dive into this a little bit later. Ferrari will get their shit together.
I read something about that earlier and thought, man, I would love to see that. I don't think it'll happen, but that would be awesome.
I think Ricciardo in IndyCar, I think we've alluded to this before too, would be – is that Corey?
Yeah.
I mirror your words, and he would be an absolute rock star.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He definitely would.
Now, I think there would be some adjustment period to the ovals because that's a completely different ballgame. But, I mean, the road course thing would be.
Yeah, when they're on the road courses, I think he would dominate. And to be honest with you, I don't know for sure because I don't follow enough IndyCar. Corey, feel free to chime in on this one. But, you know, when we've seen ex F1 drivers go to IndyCar.
Hell, won the Indy 500 this year.
Yeah. Yeah. But as far as, like, generally speaking of, you know, the majority of them, do they perform like substantially better than the rest of the IndyCar guys on the road courses or in general? Like we would probably assume they do. I mean, I know Grosjean went there. Marcus Ericsson, who won the Indy 500, went there. Who else was it?
To be fair, though, when's the last time we had a big name F1 driver go to IndyCar?
I mean, you're
that would be the difference to me.
You're saying big name is in like top 4, top 5 teams?
Yeah.
I think that's been a while.
You know, I mean,
yeah, I mean, I think
Grosjean had his shot in a couple of the higher up teams, and it didn't work out well, and he wound up with Haas.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Corey. That's my last thought was when Mansell went over there. Yep. But, I mean, that was in the mid-90s. You know, that was 92?
2, 3,
somewhere 2 or 3. Early.
Yeah.
That was the year Andretti came to McLaren. Michael Andretti. But
yeah, I do agree. I mean, I think Danny Rick would definitely be a little bit different level of F1 driver going to IndyCar compared to Roman Grosjean, Marcus Ericsson, and like I'm trying to think who else it is in recent.
Well, we've had some IndyCar
that went to Indy. Who the hell? That's gonna bug me.
We've had some IndyCar guys come into F1 a while back. Drove for Toro Rosso. Was it Dixon?
Scott Dixon?
Yeah.
No, Scott Dixon hasn't come to F1.
No, Speed? Why am I blanking on this?
Scott Speed, the American, who's the
American
joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah, obviously Montoya. Montoya was an absolute animal. But to be fair, Montoya was on the F1 trajectory before he went to IndyCar.
Mm-hmm.
And was testing for Williams for a couple years, and Williams hired, was it
Alexander Rossi as well?
Yeah. I believe Williams hired Button. Was it Button? in 2000, 99 maybe, or 2000, whoever it was. And Montoya was like, hell, I thought I was getting that seat.
Mm-hmm.
He had a offer to go to IndyCar. It got done like that. So he went. And then the second the Williams seat was then available again, he jumped right back. So he kind of had that F1 pedigree. And then essentially, instead of like people go to Williams now to wait their time, he essentially just went to IndyCar.
Yeah. Takuma Sato as well.
Yeah. Twan just put a little list of them up here.
What we got? Oh, yeah.
Rossi, Sato, Montoya, Silvestro. Oh, okay, test driver. About to say, I didn't remember. That name didn't ring a bell.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely.
And Dad, you're right. Mansell was a world champion, and that was kind of what I was talking about. Is like somebody on that level. You know, it's in F1 moving over to IndyCar and then just starts destroying people.
Me personally, I'd rather see Hendrick go to racing, LMP cars or something like that. Hell, put him in IMSA. He loves the States.
I kind of agree
come to the
that.
States, run IMSA, or go run WC or something. Run an LMP team. He'd be fantastic.
Well, either way, that's still some time off because he's gonna have his pretty much option of seats of just about everybody behind McLaren.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I wouldn't be surprised
IndyCar talk.
If he does whenever he does get out, I wouldn't be surprised if he does like Alonso and starts going to run some sports car stuff, if you will, prototypes, but still something like that.
So moving on from IndyCar.
Yeah. I want to circle back to what Twan said a little bit ago right here. Gunther to Ferrari. And, man, I wish I could remember where I read something about that earlier today. I think it would be awesome. However, I don't see that happening by a long shot. I think Gunther is way too abrasive for the for the team that Bodo has kind of created now, and the whole mantra of that organization in general anymore.
To be fair, if Gunther goes to Ferrari, Binotto's gone.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't see it happening.
Could you imagine that dude with the amount of microphones in his face that the Ferrari team principal has?
Oh my God, man!
And the Italian media, the way they choke down those team principals when they do anything wrong.
Oh yeah,
bro, just give us.
Can we do just like a test weekend?
Give us a year, please.
Yeah,
that would be incredible.
I'm on board. I'll sign the petition. Send it to me.
I mean, just the T-shirts and the memes would be out of this world. I'd be for it.
Oh yeah.
So, one more thing I want to say about Alpine is they've got a very negative snowball rolling here. And it didn't start a week and a half ago or a week ago. I'm kind of wondering, even though I would imagine 2 years ago, when Danny Rick was kind of rolling with Renault, he saw the writing on the wall.
He just kind of up and leaves, kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah, man. But so you had to imagine that him being in the team, like they had some ideas that some shakeups were coming in terms of, Cyril getting ousted, the rebranding of the team. I would imagine that wasn't kept silent internally over there.
Well, and even
I would imagine a lot of stuff started leaking out.
Even if it was kept silent, I mean, that's not something that you don't feel within the team.
Right.
You get that notion that something is coming down the pipe, regardless of what it is. You can kind of feel it because that kind of stuff trickles down.
Mm-hmm. So, maybe he saw something coming. Maybe it wasn't even necessarily bad, but maybe he just saw the change and didn't feel comfortable with it. I don't know, but that was kind of a strange thing because he was going so well with them and really kind of getting his groove back to just up and leave and start over again.
Yep.
And, then they bring Alonso back, which at the time, to me, kind of seemed like they were grabbing at straws. I mean, look, it turned out Alonso's, in great form, and, he proclaims he's doing some of his best driving. Now, at the time, that was kind of a very big shot in the dark because you started looking at some of these older guys, Seb and Kimi, and from when Alonso came up, and they were all struggling, and you just kind of saw Father Time catching up. But man, Fernando seems to be on a different clock.
Yeah, man. I mean, and it was, right? Like, it was, like you said, it was a bit of a shot in the dark. I mean, I've always been behind Alonso. I was excited when they announced it. But yeah, I mean, I can't say I didn't question how smart of a move that was. I mean, you leave F1 and shit changes fast. And you'll get left behind real quick. So, and that was more so kind of where I was at. Not so much was the talent still there, but it was just, is he going to be able to come back? And it's like a whole different game now that he's coming back into. Is he going to be a bit out of touch? And clearly we've seen that's not the case. But it was definitely a risk on their part.
No doubt. And I wasn't on board with it just because I thought it was going to be like kind of just this parade tour of Alonso coming back to Renault to make everything full circle and ride off into the sunset, get another couple years of F1.
And because they needed an ass in the seat when Ricardo left.
Right. And kind of look like, Seb did his last year or two at Ferrari. Or his last year at Ferrari, really. But hell, was I wrong? Because he looks as sharp as ever.
Yep.
And let's talk about his reasoning a little bit for leaving now. So he, out the blue, just says, I'm going to Aston. We kind of talked a little bit last week about what Aston has going for it. Obviously, Alpine's got some serious issues going on behind the scenes and just not having their ducks in a row. So maybe he feels they're going to be falling off. Maybe they've peaked. and this is as good as it's going to get. Like we alluded to before, Aston has the pieces coming. They have the mega facility coming. They're constantly adding
backing.
Yeah, substantial financial backing. And they're constantly adding the right pieces. They're grabbing guys from Red Bull, Mercedes, whoever they can to, essentially Lawrence Stroll's trying to assemble this dream team.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing everything he can to just bankroll this thing. And, look, man, I got to say, at this rate, at some point, it's going to pay off.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, it's all going to fall into place. It's all going to come together. And they're going to be a mega team.
I missed that last part with your connectivity issues, but
at some point it's going to come together, and they're going to be a mega team.
Maybe not. Maybe there'll be a big old docu-series on how it was an absolute dumpster fire.
Hey, I mean, that possibility is always there. It is always there.
But whatever happens, I don't think Lawrence Stroll is one of those guys that's just going to go quietly into the night if it's not working out. I think there's going to be fireworks.
Yep.
So another thing that this brings to Alpine is I feel like the expectations for Ocon just got exponentially higher.
They absolutely did. If he's the number one guy now, that bar just got raised very high for him. Before it was, I mean, he had a couple years under his belt, but still your teammate is Fernando Alonso. So even if you underperform against your teammate, he kind of had that cushion of
exactly.
Well, yeah, I did because he's Fernando Alonso.
Exactly. You had that buffer zone. Nobody expected you to beat Fernando Alonso.
Right.
He could have lost to him every single week, and nobody would have been mad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't see who they could bring in to have that same bar. I don't think
Danny Rick doesn't set that same bar.
No, you're right. He would be expected to beat or be equal to Danny Rick.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm Ocon, I'm nervous now because he has not performed at a level of a number one driver. You can have he has had a great season in respect to himself. However, what has he done that has put that car above where it belongs this year? Nothing in my recollection. Fernando's had that car multiple times in places where it really has no business being.
Yeah.
In qualifying and even at points in a race. But, obviously over the distance of the race, it's not quick enough to sustain that.
No, it kind of falls off a little bit, but he had it there.
Exactly. And
whereas Ocon just kind of always had the car kind of just where it belongs, right? He never punched above his weight, even if it was for a short period, even if it was just in quali or had a great start to the race and then kind of fell off. He never really had it there like Alonso did.
Right. And that's not something that you can build a team around.
Mm-mm.
So Alpine just gave him a long-term contract, and I think they absolutely screwed themselves in doing so.
Yeah, they gave him through the end of 24 currently.
Yeah.
Yep. Which if you're new
to F1, 2 years is long-term in F1.
Yeah. I mean, anybody can be a dark horse, right? But man, just personality-wise, I don't see Ocon stepping up to the plate and being that number one guy, being that team leader, being that driver that really sets the bar for the team. I don't see it. Just not even performance-wise, just in his personality and his demeanor. He just doesn't strike me as that guy.
I agree with that. And I think, you can tell a lot about somebody's person based upon their relationship with their teammate. Now, obviously, if, you wind up fighting for championships and all that all kind of goes out the window, that telltale. But, I mean, this dude has problems with more drivers than just about anybody else on the grid.
Mm-hmm.
Max can't stand him. Checo hates him from their time together at Racing Point, or I guess even Force India.
Force India.
Both. I firmly believe Fernando is fed up with his shit.
Yep.
From this year.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think at first I was like, I don't know. It's kind of not the same Fernando. Now I truly believe Fernando has had enough of his crap.
Oh, man. After Hungary, he was definitely done with him.
And I know there's somebody else that he had a big old ordeal with. Why can I not remember now? Damn. Anyway, I mean, that's 3.
Yeah.
There's only 20 in F1. So excluding yourself, that's a 5th.
Yeah.
Of the drivers. Yeah, so I mean, look, it'll be interesting to see.
So Esteban Ocon's teammates: Pastor Maldonado, Romain Grosjean, Julian Palmer, K-Mag, Pascal Wehrlein again, Jordan King, Checo Perez, Alfonso Celis, George Russell, Nicholas Latifi, Danny Ricciardo, Fernando. Why is it saying Joe Guan Yu? When were they teammates?
You that must be encompassing like everything.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that's on there, but
either way, it doesn't seem like he's the easiest guy to get along with. And if you're not lightning quick, that's not who you want at the pointy end of your team. That's not who you want. That's not who you want to build around.
Yeah.
If you're Ayrton Senna and you're blindingly quick and hard to deal with, tough.
Yeah.
You're just hard to deal with, and that's what it's going to be. Mm-hmm. But he was fast enough to make people not care about that. They want him. You want him in your team.
Why do you think Latifi's been here this long?
I guess.
He's slow, and he's an easygoing guy, easy to deal with, seems to get along with everybody.
Yeah, I mean.
Opposite end of the spectrum.
Opposite end.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess so. But
being a billionaire also helps, but
Sure. So, all right. Well, look, there's tons of other, in terms of the silly season of F1, there's still tons of questions out there that we don't, as of this point. Now, I'll probably wake up tomorrow morning and they'll have like 4 announcements on the rest of the teams. But
of course.
Yeah. As of right now, there's still a bunch of open seats for next year. So let's put a button on that part and kind of get into what we've seen so far.
Yep.
And I mean, the only place to start here is Red Bull versus Ferrari. We're not in this one. We're not going to get into every single team, team by team, and talk about them, because some of them, frankly, there's really nothing exciting to talk about.
No. Mm-mm.
But I want to talk about just some of the highlights and the what ifs and the where we feel we should be.
Yeah.
And where we versus where we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I mean, so look, we go back start of the year, and Ferrari looks incredible, right? They look like they are about to just dominate this year. Their car was lightning quick. All the meanwhile, Red Bull was having some reliability issues, and that really set the tone for what we thought we were in for this year. Little did we know that whole thing was going to get flipped on its head, and the roles were going to reverse. So we come in to race 4, I think it was, when it all kind of flipped. Trying to remember exactly. Was it Baku?
Yeah.
I think you're right on that, but and we saw completely opposite results. We saw Ferrari starting with their reliability issues, and I don't want to pass over it too quickly, but we saw not only reliability issues, and that's when the bonehead decisions kind of started to surface. It kind of went hand in hand, man. We saw the reliability issues, and then when they'd have a good weekend, they botch it with these freaking strategy calls.
Yeah, so the real thing is Red Bull started off with the pace, had reliability issues, worked them out quick, and continued to just do what Red Bull does, and that is execute perfectly week in and week out. And, they've only been living in the front, and I say the front, I mean consistently week in and week out this year and last year. Before that, it was from time to time. And it was like, maybe they would get one of the Mercedes before, but the other Mercedes would be, 30 seconds down the road.
Yeah.
And on certain tracks, they kind of have their number and win races. But they've always, I'll say always, really in the last, I don't know, 5 years, Ricciardo's last couple years, and then essentially when Max became the guy, they have executed their strategies and their pit stops and everything that is outside of the driver's control to perfection.
Yep.
This is, like I've said, this has been happening for years. So now, like, all of a sudden, you have a car that is 1A or 1B fastest on the grid, and you throw that on top of it, and this is what you get. You get a championship where you're running away with it because the other team is making these stupid mistakes, who has an equally fast, if not even faster car, but cannot get out of their own way.
Yep.
And look, man, I feel like Ferrari has been so tunnel vision focused on the performance of their car since 2020 that they've really lost sight of a lot of these other things that go hand in hand with winning. Not being fast, not fighting for podiums, but winning.
Yeah.
And that's something that, look, to be completely fair to Mattia, he had a lot on his plate when he took over. You had a car that was competitive sometimes. You had a toxic team environment and culture.
Yep.
You had aging drivers. You had just this whole aura of failure to Ferrari standards that you had to turn around. So understandably, something was going to be last to be fixed. Right? Mm-hmm. And maybe at the time, maybe that was the thing that was in the best shape. So you kind of put it on the back burner and say, okay, we're all right there. We don't need to do anything right now. And over time, you start fixing these things and looking at, different aspects of your team and your culture and your car. And you start fine-tuning all these things and you really start getting them dialed in. He's done an incredible job changing the culture in that team.
Oh, yeah.
To where people aren't scared of losing their job over one race. Mm-hmm. And over anything, really.
Over, one mistake.
Right. And not to mention, he's really got, from the technical side, he's got him dialed in because that's arguably the fastest car in terms of statistics and analytics from, all the different computers and all. The Ferrari is the fastest car on the grid.
Yeah, it is.
Not just in qualifying, even over the race.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing they can't get right is the freaking strategy.
Yep.
Even DNFs aside from engine failures or reliability issues, this championship should be razor thin between Charles and Max.
Yeah. But, and let's not forget, how long it's been since Ferrari was really in the position that they are at the front of the grid. And previously, where they were versus now, dude, when you are now competing against Red Bull and Mercedes, dude, if your strategy game is not on point, it is going to be highlighted to the maximum when you are up against those two teams when it comes to that statistic, if you will. When you are making strategy calls against the rest of the grid, when you're just kind of in the back, yeah, it's those issues may still have been present, but they weren't highlighted to the extent that they are now when you are in the spotlight with Red Bull and Mercedes strategy games. So
sure.
I agree with that. Also plays a role in it. I don't think that their strategy department, I don't think it was anything out of the blue that
hold on.
That came up.
I agree with that to an extent. And that it will cost you some races. It will cost you losing out in some battles to Max or to Lewis or whoever happens to be at the front at that time. This year, it's been Max. So, but that is the kind of thing where it really doesn't matter who or where you're racing to get that strategy correct for what you have to do at the moment.
No, you're right. It absolutely does not matter.
Because what's happening
it wasn't highlighted as much. I think that problem has been there for a while, and it is now being highlighted more than ever.
Yeah, but it's being highlighted now. But a small mess up could mean the difference between first and second place. Okay? Like, you don't win the race, but you get second. We're talking about last week, Charles Leclerc should have won that race, and he finished sixth.
Mm-hmm.
I forget who it was, but one of these big-time publications in Europe ran the numbers. And if Leclerc runs Lewis Hamilton's strategy, which was from what they said was a conventional strategy, it wasn't anything out of the ordinary, he wins that race by 15 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Bonotto can say whatever he wants about all this crap that, we didn't have the pace this weekend. That is bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
Leclerc was handily ahead in that race, and they screwed it. So, look, he's been adamant. They don't, almost arrogant in the sense that they're good. They don't have anything to fix in terms of strategy. If that's truly how he feels, then it's time for him to go, because there's a fine line between toting the party line and just taking all the brunt of everything for your team and being negligent to your actual problems.
100%.
Maybe he needs to take a little page out of Toto's book.
Toto is quick to admit when they made a mistake.
All the time. Even in the years when they were absolutely dominating people.
Yeah.
When if they didn't have a 1-2, you were like, man, what happened to Mercedes this week? He would find things to criticize and to critique. And if you're not like that, you're not going to beat Red Bull.
Yeah. Well, and
because you're never perfect.
When Toto would do it, it wasn't, the whole thing right now is talking about, Mattia not wanting to place blame, right? And change that mantra of Ferrari. When Toto would do it, it wasn't throwing anybody under the bus. It was admitting collectively, as a team, they had some areas to work on. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not a bad thing. So I don't know why Mattia is so hell-bent on not admitting any kind of fault or any kind of shortcoming. You don't have to come out and say, hey, our strategist, this guy screwed us this weekend. But you can just admit that, we've got some work to do. We got outdone in the strategy calls by Red Bull, and we've got to work on that. Like that. That's all it takes.
There's, when it comes to Ferrari, you can not single anybody out, but demand accountability in the same sense.
Yeah.
And that I don't feel like is happening, because we haven't seen we've seen the same mistake repeated over and over again. So yeah, like you're creating this culture where everybody feels great, but on that end of it, it's not yielding the results because we made the same mistake now 5 times this season.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's essentially just creating the everybody gets a trophy mentality, right? Oh, y'all showed up to the race this weekend, so hey, good job. Instead of wow, we really got some work to do. Let's figure out what it is and come back stronger next weekend.
Right. So I mean, look, we've harped on Ferrari quite a bit in the last couple weeks, last few ones.
Yeah, I mean, hell,
so
they have their own
they
bourbon
make
on
it,
our bars that we're gonna drink. I mean, yeah, we've harped on them.
yeah, look, they make it impossible not to. And the only thing that pisses me off is I feel like it takes away from the job that Red Bull is really doing this year because they've been perfect for essentially since race 3.
Mm-hmm.
But even still, Max has been on point.
Oh yeah,
their strategies, their in race timing. Yeah, like you've had some engine issues. That's kind of out of your control in a sense, right? Like obviously, build a better engine. You don't have that, blah 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 blah. But you don't know when an engine's going to go. Everything looks perfect until it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So Red Bull has essentially been perfect this year. They've capitalized on every single opportunity that has been pointed their way or Ferrari has given them or whatever.
As is expected.
And as has Mercedes.
Yep.
Who, look, they have so far the most reliable car of the year. They have, I really don't think they've closed the gap much. They got pole last week. It's kind of a crazy set of circumstances. You had some weird things happen with Red Bull. You had Ferrari kind of get caught out by the weather. And you had Mercedes absolutely pick the perfect setup for the weather change.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about this, on the last show where they just kind of rolled the dice on like where we've got this setup or this setup. Flip the coin, we're going to go with this setup, and it just paid off.
No, that's not what happened.
Yeah.
No, it's not. What they did was they went their way on Friday, and it was the worst session that they have admittedly, self-proclaimingly, they had of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And that night they said, okay, let's do essentially the opposite setup from that.
And then
it wasn't a coin flip.
And then conditions change, and it all played right into that setup.
Yes, but it wasn't a coin flip on what setup we're going to do. It's we picked a certain way. It didn't work at all. And we decided to go the complete opposite direction. And then the weather falls into line, and it just all worked out.
Well, yeah, okay. I mean, if you want to play it that way, it's all the same shit.
It's not. It's not a coin flip.
They took a gamble, and conditions changed, and it played right into their hands, and they got
sure, but it's
lucky.
not a coin flip. They made a conscious decision to go down that route after they realized what did not work the first day.
There was a number of changes that was unsure of which way they wanted to go. There was a number of decisions setup-wise that it was a bit of a coin toss, and they got lucky with it.
Well, we can agree to disagree on that because there's no way to, short of getting a Mercedes mechanic or engineer.
I called Toto yesterday and talked to him.
Okay.
Got him on speed dial. That's my boy.
I hear you. I'm gonna have to send him them all the times I recorded you talking shit about him then in the past. But
hey,
nonetheless,
I may have
hold on.
talked shit about Toto, but I have never not given him the credit he deserves. There's that
no
much.
No doubt. But look, regardless, they have made significant progress from where they started the season. And really over the last, I would say, 4 races or so, they made significant progress.
Yeah.
They have, I guess, essentially eliminated the porpoising problem. Or, hold on, no. Let me rephrase that. It went from porpoising to bouncing to now it's a non-issue, if I believe. However, they are still significantly down on straight line speed. That car still has significant rear end deficiencies. They are not back.
No, they are not.
But they are close enough to capitalize and efficient enough every week to capitalize on Ferrari doing dumb shit week in and week out. Checo not really having, kind of losing touch with this car a little bit since they've started to gear it towards Max. They're in that window now where at the beginning of the season they were kind of outside of the window where even if Ferrari and Red Bull messed up, they still really couldn't capitalize on it short of them blowing up.
Mm-hmm. Hey, and Corey, don't worry. I got you in response to that. I got you signed up for Lewis's leadership class. So I put a call into him. I got you taken care of. Don't you worry. So, yeah. All right. Back to
look, man. It's a weird thing with Mercedes right now because they are making significant strides and progress with their car. But in terms of the numbers, and look, also in Hungary, it's a very short track, so gaps are going to be condensed. You know, if your normal time that you're off the pace is 0.7, in Hungary it might be 3.5 or 0.4.
Mm-hmm.
It's a short lap, so the ability to make up time is just not there.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I mean, look, they are progressing, but guess what? So is their competition ahead of them.
Right.
You know, so yeah, they are progressing and they have closed the gap some. They are still every bit of a half second off the pace. You know, I mean, they're still not there.
Right. I mean, look, you saw in Hungary when Ferrari was on the proper strategy and Leclerc got by Russell, he just walked away from him.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, to the tune of 0.75 of a second, half a second a lap. And that is what it is. But the fact that was even able to happen shows substantial progress. You know, it just bothers me. Like I talked about it last week. Every time something positive happens, it's like, are y'all back? Are y'all back? It's like, dude, pump the brakes. Like, it's going to take time. There's going to be peaks and valleys.
Yeah, like you had a great moment there. You had a great weekend. That doesn't mean that they're back in the running every, week in and week out.
Right. Unfortunately,
it was one weekend. Why don't you wait and see if it's a recurring thing before you jump the gun on Mercedes is back?
Unfortunately for them, We have Spa and Monza coming up.
That's going to be rough.
I think that's going to be a bloodbath for them.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they work some magic over this break, I think it's going to be rough.
Yeah.
Because their straight line speed is still a problem.
Yep.
But let's see. I mean, look. I still feel like short of some of the front running teams having significant carnage in a race, I don't see Mercedes winning one. But in the event that happens, they may be able to get it done. Chances are Max and Charles would have to be involved in that, barring any strategy issue not coming into play for Charles.
Mm-hmm.
But to say that
if the strategy is there for Charles and Max is on his typical weekend, they're not going to win with that happening.
Even if you can't even say a typical weekend. He started in 10th last week. As long as he doesn't have an AlphaTauri front wing lodged in his floor, then they're probably not going to win.
His typical type of performance weekend is what I meant by that. His typical flawless drive, maybe a spin on track that he just keeps going, does a nice, beautiful 360 and keeps going. Shy of that, as long as he has his typical weekend and Red Bull does their typical thing of perfecting the strategy calls, Mercedes is not going to get the win over that.
So sidebar here.
Is that the JD bonded you're drinking?
This is not the bonded. This is the triple mash.
Okay.
I have not picked up a bonded yet just because I'm lazy about it. And I've looked at it like 4 or 5 times and just haven't done it. This is the triple mash. And it is that's what I just had. And it is very good. Very, very good. Jack Daniels is killing it, man. Absolutely killing it lately in the past few years.
Anybody
that has that stigma of Jack Daniels from college, just don't buy the old number 7.
Yeah, anything other than old number 7 from Jack is great.
Yeah.
I, by the way, have some Johnny Drum in the glass.
Oh, you quit the barrel?
I had one rather large pour of it. We're gonna savor that one.
I'm gonna jump back into one of my old faithfuls here. I only got a little bit left. The 135.2 single barrel proof.
Oh, nice.
This is my first bottle of the JD barrel proof that I grabbed that I ever had, and it's kind of on its last leg there. Not gonna kill it tonight because I do
cannonball it. Cannonball.
Do have to work in the morning. Maybe I will kill it. There's less in there than I thought. But anyway. Look. It's been a super exciting season thus far. It's been a season that we've had a lot of great racing. I think these new regulations have absolutely proved to do what they sought out to do. The tires seem to be equally as impressive. These new concept tires.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of all that, man, I don't have any complaints about that aside from the fact that we still have DRS.
Oh, you beat me to it. I was going to say, if only we could get rid of DRS.
But look, man, and that's essentially just a running joke that we have. But it's been awesome. You're seeing fights all up and down the field, lap after lap after lap after lap. And
it's amazing
what I've noticed,
what you get when the cars can actually follow each other for more than a lap or two.
right,
This is what you get. You get racing.
right, and especially in the closing stages of the race,
Mm-hmm.
you're getting people finishing less than a half a second behind each other because their tires are lasting and they're able to keep attacking and attacking. They're not getting to a point where they attack, try and pass, it doesn't happen, and then their tires die and they fall back 4 seconds.
Yep.
So look,
it's
all in all,
been nice,
man,
and I'm excited to see how these next few years progress. I think we're on a good trajectory here with these cars.
yeah, I agree. I think, man, aside from Ferrari's shortcomings, it has been an amazing year at the front when you consider how closely matched in the first year of these regulations the Ferrari and the Red Bull are.
Mm-hmm.
It's been stunning where we've had multiple races where qualifying order 1, 2, and 3 is all under 100, is all within under a tenth, within like so many hundredths of each other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dude, that doesn't happen in Formula One, where you have 3 guys consistently under a tenth together. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it should be, this absolutely should be one of those seasons that is just absolute biting your nails to the bitter end. And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be that unless Ferrari comes out the gate and absolutely has their shit together and just starts running them in. But
the thing is,
I think Red Bull and Max are too good for that to happen.
Yeah, even if Ferrari comes out swinging and really has their shit figured out, Red Bull already has theirs figured out. Red Bull is not going to all of a sudden be dropping the ball and allow Ferrari just to run away with it again, or not again, but allowing them to run away with it. So, for Ferrari to really gain back some ground, they are going to have to outperform Red Bull every single race. And truth is, I don't see that happening.
So here's the thing, though. Since they've brought their last 2 upgrades, they have had the fastest car in quali and in race performance.
Mm-hmm.
And they've let it slide on whether it's strategy, engines blowing up, or Charles had that one mistake where he made a big one and put it in the wall.
Yeah.
But they have been in position to win every single race since then.
Yeah.
So the fact is, it is entirely possible if they get their head out of their ass that they could do it. Because to be completely frank, they should have.
Well, yeah,
had
they should
a
have.
serious run.
And
is it? And here's the thing: if they don't have all these disasters leading up, I'd be willing to bet Charles doesn't make that spin in Paul Ricard because he's not pushing like a maniac, because it doesn't at that point in time, because it doesn't feel like an absolute must-have situation.
Sure, yeah, I'd agree with that, but even though, yes, we know that the car is as of late has been the faster car, I still don't think even if they come out running the game on Red Bull, even with Red Bull finishing right behind them, and I'd have to run the numbers, but I still don't think that's going to be enough for them to overtake it.
No, so if they would have to win every race, and if Max finished second every race, I don't think they would win it.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But if Carlos snuck in there a few times, it would offset. But either that's such an unbelievably small chance of happening. Like,
yeah, I mean, really,
you would have to have some serious. Like, you'd have to have a couple Max DNFs now.
Well, at this point, their biggest their Hail Mary is come out swinging, nail it every race from here on out, and just hope that Max has a reliability issue, or that there's some kind of something that causes a DNF, and you can really capitalize on a point haul.
Right.
That's their only chance right now.
For sure. But so one thing I want to ask you, we're gonna about wrap up here. But one thing I want to ask you is going forward for, I'm going to call it the back half of the season, but it's not really the back half. This last part of the season, what team do you, aside from Ferrari, because that's obvious, what team do you think needs to step it up more than, say, the rest? Or should I say maybe needs to live up to their own expectations and over what we've seen so far in the back half of the season?
Alfa Romeo. They came out beginning of this year. I say it was mainly Bottas.
No,
but Joe, no, it was mainly Bottas. Joe still had good showings.
Mm-hmm.
He did. But the star was Bottas with where he had that car landing. And they have just kind of fallen to the wayside, and if I had to take a guess, I would say it's probably just that. And look, to be honest, I have not looked and followed what upgrades they have or have not brought, but by the looks of it, they have just not kept up with everybody else in terms of car equipment. Everybody else is progressing, and they seem to have not, because they came out beginning of this year swinging, and that car was well beyond where any of us expected it to be. And then that just slowly and quietly kind of went away. Mm-hmm. So I would say Alfa Romeo.
I like that one.
What about you?
So that was going to be my pick, but kind of had a feeling that you were going to pick that one, being that I blindsided you with it.
I mean, there's quite a few of them that we could.
I do have a backup prepared, and it's kind of a 1A, 1B for me. Haas and Alpha Tauri. Mm-hmm. Haas has shown potential this year periodically. It hasn't been a startup here and a downward trajectory. It's just kind of been a roller coaster.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that line stabilize a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's driver related. I think early on it was a little bit, but Mick's kind of got his stuff together and has been much more consistent and much more kind of around the same place K-Mag is, which leads you to believe that that's where that car belongs for that week. I would like to see them kind of start living on the higher side of where we've seen them, because I think it's in them.
I think it is, and I think it needs to happen for Mick. You know, I think we really need to see him step it up. You know, the rest of the season, and really put to bed the question of, does he really deserve to be here? You know, it's been 2 years now. I think we really need to see it, and honestly, I think we will. I really do.
So in terms of Mick, I don't think last year counts towards his progression, because that car was such a train wreck. He had no bar to measure himself against in Mazepin.
And I would agree with that.
And we've seen,
I think it just gave him. I think what last year gave him was just I think it would. And I say this and just hear me out on this. I think it was just a confidence thing last year. Mm-hmm. Yes, the car was shit, and that car was not going to build confidence in anybody. But confidence of being in Formula One, being on the grid with these freaking superstars, and feeling a bit outclassed, and just being amongst them. I think last year was a big confidence builder for Mick. And maybe confidence is the wrong word, but you know, I think you kind of get where I'm at with that.
Sure. But yeah, so I mean, look, we've seen it takes him time, and I think you're starting to see that translate. He's getting much more consistent. Mm-hmm. He dialed in a few points finishes in a row after he got that monkey off his back, and he's getting it together. I want to see that car be better in general. Equally with AlphaTauri, that has been an upper midfield team for eternity.
Mm-hmm.
It's I hate the fact that it is just not competitive.
Yeah.
It's just not a good car.
Nope.
And I hate that Gasly's in it. In this year in particular. Because coming off of last year, when he had a pretty good midfield car, he was just delivering.
Yeah.
And this car just sucks.
Yeah.
And in what we all kind of thought was going to be a make or break, not really, I shouldn't say not a make or break year for him, but a possibly earn you back a top tier drive again year. It's just not the car to showcase that, because it's a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to see them get it together for these last 9 races.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see them re-sign Yuki, because I think he's got potential. I still think you got a bunch of quirks to work out with him. Yeah, but I think he's got potential.
He's a ball of clay. You still got some molding to do, but he's moldable.
Right.
And so I think he's proven that. You know, he has, man, when he came in, he was rough. He was rough around the edges.
Oh yeah.
You know, and he has made a lot of strides in the right direction. And I think that speaks volumes. So I agree with you. I think he does have potential. Do I think he'll ever be a world champion? No. But do I think he has potential to be a solid driver for a good period of time? Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, right. No predictions to make today.
Nope.
Um,
Those will come at a later date when we get around to the Spa preview.
Yep. I believe we're going to take next week off, and we will be back the following week to jump into a preview of Spa, which I cannot wait for.
Yes. Looking forward to that one. My
Yes.
favorite track. Looking
Love
forward
it.
to that one. Yeah, so we'll take our own summer break.
Not only our favorite track, but has probably the best sequence of turns that showcases what a Formula One car can actually do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, coming down the hill in the Eau Rouge and Rayon, and then a long back stretch. And damn it, I forget that next turn's name. But
think of it off the top of my head.
The speed that it carries through Eau Rouge and Rayon, flat out, which it'll be interesting to see if these cars can do it flat out.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see that. I'm confident they will, but we'll see. And then the absolute top end speed that you see out of these cars, it'll probably be touching 210-ish, 215.
Mm-hmm. That sequence of turns after
down to a braking zone of first gear.
Yeah, through the chicane.
Yeah,
that series of turns after the Kemmel Straight is Lecombs.
Ah, yes.
I don't. The S might be silent. I'm not really sure.
Lacombe.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to Spa.
Absolutely awesome.
You know, and I hate to end on a sad note. The fact that this might be the last Spa race.
I don't think that's
at
the
least
case
for the time being. I haven't seen where it's confirmed, yes or no, but I know the possibility is there.
It's not going to be the last. Even if it's not there next year, it's not going to be the last.
Well, that's why I said last for maybe a little bit.
I don't think that's the case, though.
I sure as hell hope not. But from everything we've seen, and man, like once all this driver shit started, we kind of stopped hearing about, Spa and South African GP come on board and, about Monaco contracts and whatnot. So that is all TBD at the moment. And we'll just leave it at that. So, all right. Anything else?
Hit me with the quote.
Let's do it.
This one is actually from me this week, but this is David's segment, so he's going to read it.
I'm going to deliver it, but yes,
just wanted to get my plug in there. I do work on here too.
Performances such as yesterday's must not happen anymore. After yesterday's race, each and every one of us must rethink our approach and attain perfection. And that would be the great Luca de Montezemolo. And that
for those that don't know who that is, he was the head dude of Ferrari in the multiple runs of greatness in the 70s, and then again building into the 90s and running through the turn of the millennium into the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Also, real quick, on that note, before we get out of here, one parallel I want to talk about real quick. I want to draw between that exact thing from 96 to 2000 of Ferrari, Michael Schumacher, Ross Brawn, Jean Todt. That team gets in there and they have it equated to now. Mattia taking over 19 lines up with Leclerc's first year. Almost the same time window. We're not quite, but we're kind of heading in that direction. You had 96, 97, 98, 99. 4 years with Michael, Jean Todt, Ross Brawn, that team together. 96, the car was not good.
Nope.
They kind of had a radical design and then went a completely different direction. 97, the car was very competitive, and they barely missed out on the championship. 98 was a little step back from that. 99, they had it together. All things were in place. Michael broke his leg. Things happened. And they almost won it with Eddie Irvine. But you went through these 4 years of missing out and growing pains and just heartbreak for the Tifosi to lead up to 2000, where it was another tough, hard-fought year, and you prevailed and you won, and there was no controversy. It was just you did it, and you beat the 2-time reigning world champion Mika Hakkinen and McLaren to do it.
Yep.
And you can kind of see you can see a lot of similarities happening right now in the way that the team is building and the way that they progressed from that 19 season through what they've gone through in 20 and 21 to where they're at now and to where they're going. So with that being said, I think they're on the right track and they have one thing left to fix.
Yeah, it's just a matter of getting all the pieces there. And they've got most all of them. They're just missing that kind of just that one crucial piece of the puzzle.
That's it.
Yep.
Strategy.
Yep. And when they get that piece there, look out.
Because supposedly they have a reliability fix for their engine that will allow them. It will fix all of the issues that we have seen cost them explosions, and it will allow them to run it closer to its full potential.
Yep.
So TBD on that one, but
yeah.
Anyway, that's it. That's all I got.
Yep, as a wrap.
So
appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Corey, Twan, Dad, you jumped in here. We appreciate y'all hanging out. So until next time. So again, we're going to take next week off. We'll have our own little summer break. We'll be back with a Spa preview episode. So in the meantime, we'll try to post some stuff, with updates as they come. Follow us on social media, and we'll try to keep those as frequent as we can as new things come to light. As I'm sure they will.
We'll have some new stuff being added to our social media in due time as soon as my new computer gets here.
Yeah. So things are in progress.
Yeah.
We're kind of like Ferrari. We got a couple pieces. We're missing a couple. We're building.
Yeah. Except our budget isn't infinity.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we have excuses. They don't.
That's right. All right. That's it. I'm done. I'm out. Y'all have a good night. Thank y'all for being with us.
Thank you.
We'll see y'all next time.